How's it going, guys? My name's Wilson. Some of the best teams that never won an NBA championship includes John Stockton's and Karl Malone's Jazz, who fell victims to Michael Jordan in 97 and 98. Steve Nash and Amari Stoudemire's Suns were arguably robbed by San Antonio in 07. With that said, let's take a look back at this decade at all the best teams who didn't win a championship. Some of these teams ended up winning a title in different years.
Number 6, the 2010-2011 Miami Heat. Viewed as heavy contenders, forming a super team with James Wade and Bosh, they were the preseason favorites. Anything short of a title would have been an absolute failure, and all the pressure was on LeBron from the start. The team started 9-8 overall, but got better as the season went on. James was at the early stages of his prime. Wade was at the tail end of his prime. Both were arguably top 3 players in the NBA, being on the same team at the same time. The duo knocked off the Eastern Conference champs, the Boston Celtics, in 5 games in the semis. Wade led the way, putting up 37 and 5. Against the Bulls, it was James and Bosh who carried the load. LeBron put up 26, 8 and 7. CB 23 and 8. James got the best of Derrick Rose. Bosh proved he was way better than Carlos Boozer, but James fell apart in the finals, blew a 15-point lead in Game 2, up 2 games to 1, having the chance to go up 3 games to 1. James had his worst finals performance, scoring a pathetic 8 points. Despite Miami still having the chance to win the game down the stretch, LeBron was outscored by Jason Terry the whole finals and was heavily criticized all summer long until he got the job done in 2012 and 2013, winning back-to-back titles. But when it comes to debates with the very best of the best, the 2011 final still leaves a stain in LeBron's legacy. Number 5, the 2015-16 San Antonio Spurs. Perhaps the most forgotten 67-win team in NBA history, the whole regular season was a battle between San Antonio and Golden State, fighting for the number 1 seed, seeking to gain home court advantage throughout the playoffs. Tim Duncan was on his very last legs. After a hard-fought 7-game series loss to the Clippers in the first round the season before, while winning 55 games, the Spurs landed free agent all-star power forward LaMarcus Aldridge from the Blazers, surprising everybody in the league. They also got an aging David West. It was also the year Kawhi Leonard emerged into a superstar in his 5th season, was arguably a top 10 player in the league at 24 years old. Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili gladly took a back seat, while the chemistry was at an all-time high, clicking on all cylinders. Shockingly, these Spurs tied an NBA record, going an incredible 40-1 overall at home in the regular season, joining the likes of the 86 Celtics. They were on verge and looking to be the only team to go undefeated at home in the regular season. After easily sweeping Memphis in the first round, San Antonio disappointingly lost to OKC in the semis. The Thunder were simply too young and athletic for the old Spurs. They even lost more home games in the playoffs to OKC than they did all of the regular season. After Tim Duncan was blocked by Serge Ibaka in Game 6, you had a feeling that was the end of an incredible journey. Which leads us to number 4, the 2015-16 Oklahoma City Thunder. Both Durant and Westbrook was at the early stages of their prime. Despite winning only 55 games, their youth, quickness, and athleticism was second to none. After falling to San Antonio in the Western Conference Finals in 6 games in 2014, Durant missed most of the 2015 season with injury, so 2016 seemed to be their year. Durant and Russ were both arguably top 5 players in the game. KD put up 28, 8 and 5 in the regular season, Westbrook 23.5 points, 8 and 10. The team had prime Serge Ibaka, the streaky Dion Waiters, young Steven Adams, Andre Robertson, who was excellent on defense. Enes Kanter came off the bench, averaged 13 and 8. The team had shooters, length, defensive stoppers, was so dominant they blew out Golden State by 52 combined points in games 3 and 4 of the conference finals. But their poor late game execution between Russ and KD hurt big time, getting outscored 33-18 in the 4th quarter in the closeout game in Game 6. Both won a combined 20 of 58 from the field with critical turnovers. 3 years after, Westbrook would be traded, closing a chapter of disappointments and what-ifs that might haunt the franchise forever. Number 3, the 2015-16 Golden State Warriors. Breaking an NBA record, going 73-9 overall after a historic accomplishment, Steph Curry had one of the greatest MVP seasons all time, becoming the first one to win it unanimously, put up over 35 and 6 on over 50% shooting, 91% from the line, and a staggering 45% from 3, breaking his previous 3-point mark, making a total of 402 combined threes in 79 games. Every night in the regular season, Golden State simply destroyed and demolished their opponent, Klay Thompson was emerging into one of the best two-way players in the game. 32-year-old Andre Iguodala was perfect coming off the bench. Before the playoffs, many believed they could be the best team ever, but had their difficulties in the conference finals, was exposed by OKC, and should have lost the series if it wasn't for Klay Thompson's Game 6 record of 11 3-pointers, dropping 41 points. If KD and Russ had better chemistry, the course of the NBA over the next couple years would have been written differently. Instead of being the first team to win 73 games, the 2016 Warriors will be known as the first team who blew a 3-1 lead in the finals. Steph Curry got absolutely destroyed by both Kyrie Irving and LeBron James. Draymond's suspension was likely the main factor on why the team lost, combined with the fact that Klay Thompson's remarks on saying how his Warriors are better than the Showtime Lakers, his cockiness came back to bite him. Number 2, the 2017-18 Houston Rockets. The addition of CP3 was controversial at first. Not knowing whether he and James Harden can coexist, the two worked out just fine. Playing in Mike D'Antoni's system, they were unstoppable offensively in the regular season, setting 3-point records left and right, won a franchise best 65 games. There was never a doubt Harden was on his way to winning his first MVP, averaged 30.4 points, 5.4 rebounds, 8.8 assists, 1.8 steals, while improving on his defense. CP3 was still great, putting up over 18 a game, nearly 8 assists, comfortably took a backseat. Trevor Ariza, Eric Gordon, Gerald Green, and Ryan Anderson were reliable outside shooters. The team started hot at 25-4, had a 14-game win streak, and later a 17-game win streak in February and March. Paul missed 23 games, Lou Bahamute missed 20, Ariza 14, Anderson 13, Gordon 11, and even Harden missed 9 games, going a remarkable 40-3 when both Paul, Harden, and Capella plays. Went on to easily eliminate the Timberwolves and Jazz in the first 2 rounds in 5 games, in a grinded dogfest against the defending champ Warriors, one of the most anticipated conference finals in NBA history. The winner of that series was pretty much guaranteed to win the title. After splitting the series at 1-1, Golden State blew them out in Game 3 by a whooping 126-85 margin, taking a 2-1 series lead. The Rockets showed their toughness, played their hearts out in Game 4, limiting the Dubs to 12 fourth-quarter points, pulling out a 95-92 win. In the pivotal Game 5, PJ Tucker's relentlessness helped Houston escape to a 4-point victory. Was a plus 14, but CP3 unfortunately pulled his hamstring in the final minute, a devastating injury that cost the Rockets title hopes. Houston had no answers in the second half of Game 6, getting crushed 64-25, was helpless without CP3. The team showed up with their worst performance in Game 7, missing 27 straight threes, blowing a double-digit lead to the defending champs, getting outscored by 20 in the second half. The bench scored a pathetic 3 points, proving the absence of Paul was a huge factor, because the 2016 Warriors were vulnerable in the playoffs against OKC and Cleveland. I ranked the 2018 Rockets ahead of them because they were very close to knocking the Warriors with Kevin Durant. Leading us to number 1, the 2018-19 Golden State Warriors. Because of Kevin Durant's injury, the Toronto Raptors was able to capitalize and win the 2019 championship. Before the finals, the Warriors were rolling, with many talks whether they were actually better without KD. The dumb fans who actually believed that looked foolish. After an impressive performance by Steph and Klay to close out Houston, it was Steph and Draymond who annihilated the Blazers, sweeping them in the conference finals. Still being the favorites against Toronto, Durant's injury was clearly worse than anybody thought. Hopeful to return at some point, the unfortunate injury to Klay Thompson was a huge loss, missing Game 3. Steph couldn't do it by himself. The Warriors had no answers for the Raptors' length, and finding themselves down 3-1, Durant was activated. Was clearly nowhere near healthy. It was obvious he was still in pain, but still scored 11 points in the first 11 minutes, going 3 for 3 from downtown, then blew out his Achilles. A devastating injury that blew the Warriors' chances. Klay Thompson tore his ACL in Game 6, where Golden State had a huge opportunity to even the series. If the Warriors were healthy, nobody realistically would have beaten them. They would have likely beaten Toronto in 5, not the ending they wanted in the Durant Dubs era, but due to the team's early postseason struggles, one can say KD carried way too much of a load, who was playing like the best player in the world before being hurt in Game 5 in the semis against Houston. No other NBA champion besides the 2018 and 2017 Warriors would have had a chance against a fully healthy 2019 Warriors team.
Thank you so much for watching this video. I talk NBA comparisons, amazing storylines, NBA history, and anything basketball that will interest you. If you love the NBA, subscribe for more content, more great stuff coming soon. I love all of you. See you next time.